Fair use, fair use. This video is for educational purposes only. Yo, what's going on, fam? It's your boy, man, Teach. Coming at y'all with another video. You know what it is. Man, as usual, just want to give all thanks and praise to our divine creator, our great spirit, the Most High, for the opportunity to come and build and reason with you guys once again, and gather. Man, it's always a blessing to be back. You know what I'm saying? It's always a blessing to be able to build with you guys. So just want to give all thanks and praise for that opportunity. Yeah, man, I hope everybody out there doing good. Hope everybody out there having a blessed day. Hope everybody, hope the law is treating you guys well. I hope that sacred and righteous vibration in which you guys are living in is treating you guys well, So I want to take a second, man, in a moment to reason and build with you guys today. Really, that's what I want to do, just build, reason, analyze some things, Look at this beautiful landscape, that's in front of us. These beautiful rolling hills, you know what I'm saying? As you can see, the sacred cedars are everywhere. Beautiful, man. Beautiful, you know what I'm saying? Beautiful thing how this land is our inheritance, and the things that are on it and in it are of our inheritance, and we have access to this inheritance when we are in accordance with our divine law. You know what I'm saying? So it's always important, I feel, to make sure that in everything we do, we are in fact in accordance with divine law. So I want to come to you guys today with this video to build on the law and certain things, that I've been building on from my platform and aspect. From my platform, we've been talking about these cedars, man. We've been digging on these cedars, man. And as well as my other bros, man, who've been digging on them cedars, teaching y'all about them cedars, you know what I'm saying? Because, when you're looking at the cedars, you see it has everything to do with separation, right? Moral purity, right? And a reestablishing of divine law, coming back into the bond of the covenant, you know what I'm saying? It's a healing tree, a protecting tree, you see what I'm saying? A tree of purification, right? So when we look at our indigenous truth, our indigenous vibration, and we see the things in which our ancestors were doing amongst these sacred trees, right? It really gives us a important viewpoint on our divine law. And so I want to come to you guys with this video dealing with blood sacrifice and the blood covenant, because my last video we dealt with the herbal sacrifice, you know what I'm saying? So on this one I want to deal with the blood sacrifice because I feel like it's a very important topic. Because I feel like when I was digging on the herbal sacrifice, a lot of people kind of didn't really understand maybe the viewpoint I was coming from, you know what I'm saying, dealing with a covenant, you see what I'm saying, which is a cutting of something, a cutting of flesh, or you know what I'm saying, or something like that, a bereath, you know what I'm saying. So what I'm here to bring out is the blood covenant versus natural law, you know what I'm saying, and how one is more of a covenant. It's not dealing with the eating of meat, you know what I'm saying. That's not the main focus. The main focus is the blood covenant and what comes with it. Because what's interesting, when we see what comes with the blood covenant, we see how this practice and this worship and this Baal administration, you can see that white supremacy is pre-colonial. You see what I'm saying? White supremacy is pre-Columbian. And that's what I'm going to show you guys. And you can see how this satanic worship and this bloodlust and this animal sacrifice that led to human sacrifice was just, in fact, that an instrument to install our oppression, our slavery, our bondage, and our downfall. You see what I'm saying? Because like I say, when we're dealing with these sacred cedars, we're dealing with separation, right? We're dealing with purification. It's a tree of purification. So when we understand ourselves living in Babylon, right? We see this Assyrian has planted himself in Lebanon amongst our sacred cedars, right? So when we understand what we trying to get away from, the system of oppression in which he has set up, we will separate ourselves, right? Because that's what we're trying to do essentially, right? Separate and purify ourselves from the ways of Babylon, you know what I'm saying? And come into a more healthier and holier vibration and way of life, right? So we can be in accordance with divine law and receive our inheritance. You see what I'm saying? So when you look at separation, we understand that is just that, it is set apart, right? For example, we look at wine, right? We see that biblically speaking, there's nothing wrong with wine, right? You know, people used to drink wine. The most I tell you, shoot, don't drink too much of it. Which, if he telling you not to drink too much of it, he's also telling you to drink in moderation. If you drink, you know what I'm saying? I'm not really a wine drinker or anything like that, but I'm just using this as an example. You know what I'm saying? So the most I tell you, you know what I'm saying, all things in moderation. You know what I'm saying? You know, drink sociably and not to drunkenness. So if you are a wine drinker, we know that this is, you know, this custom is nothing wrong. You know, there's nothing wrong with this particular custom. But if you are a Nazarite, right, someone who is separate, Nazar, we know that you are commanded to, you know, abstain from that particular custom or practice, right? You know, a habit, you know what I'm saying? You are commanded to not to drink wine, you know, or the blood of grapes. You see what I'm saying? So we see that because you are separate and purified and purifying yourself, there is a holier audience, you know, and a more natural audience for you to live. You see what I'm saying? So understand that for us. Because a lot of people are coming to me like, you know, eating meat is not against the law, or that, you know, I ain't got nothing to do with that. You know what I'm saying? I know that the vibration that I'm in is one of separation. You know, that's why, you know what I'm saying, I've been digging on these cedars. So, you know, all I can tell you is separation, purification. You know what I'm saying? And what comes with separation and purification is a more natural, holier way of life. Because we're trying to purify and make atonement. You see what I'm saying? And bring ourselves back into the bond of the covenant. Now we're going to dig on that word atonement, but I just wanted to break that down so some of my brethren and some of my sisters can understand where I'm coming from. You see what I'm saying? Based upon this whole thing, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, I'm not here to say, you know what I'm saying, you know, what you should and shouldn't be eating, you know, based upon the law. Like I say, man, I'm talking separation. I'm talking cedar trees, you know what I'm saying? We're talking moral purity. So, you know, in order to be in atonement and in tune with our environment, we have to be at one. Okay? So, you know what I'm saying? I just wanted to say that. And I just wanted to say this too to my fam, that if you do decide to, you know what I'm saying, get into flesh eating, make sure that the flesh you are eating, that you know this comes from a natural source. Do your own hunting. Get outside. Go fishing. You feel what I'm saying? Because like the Bible tells us, man, you know what I'm saying? Do not sell your meat to other nations, or do not, you know what I'm saying, deal with them based upon your meat, because at least they sacrifice it to other gods. You see what I'm saying? See, that's the thing. These people worship Baal and Satan. So the meat that you eating is not natural and holy. It is not something that the Most High would, would approve of being in his holy vessels that he have to wear, right? That he have to, right? The Most High said he liked fine jewelry. You see what I'm saying? So, like I say, man, I'm from the country. You know what I'm saying? I can see the deers eating the herbs and the fruits of the fields. I can see the rabbits bouncing around, eating the little grains and the, you know what I'm saying, the things that come out the ground. So if anything, you know what I'm saying, if I were to eat those things, I would make sure that, you know what I'm saying, or I would try to make sure, you know what I'm saying, I get it from a natural source, because, we at war right now. You know what I'm saying? And the war is not just swords and, you know what I'm saying, handguns and shields, you feel me? Or whatnot. But, there's biological, psychological, you know what I'm saying? All different types of warfare, you know what I'm saying? And we all know what's going on with the food industry, you know what I'm saying? And these Baal worshippers are ruling over that. So we got to be careful what we put in our temples, and as we separate, we should lean more towards a more Adama way of life. Right? Because when we look in the beginning, we know that Adama, right? Shouts out to the bro Natural by Law, man, for breaking it down. You know what I'm saying? For showing you. Man, when the Most High said he created man, that is Adama. Let's get it. Hold on. Alright. So, when you go to Genesis chapter 2, we see the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground. But like my bro showed, the word for man is Adam. You see what I'm saying? So, hey. So just with that being said, just with that alone, we know that when God made Adam, he made man. You see what I'm saying? So we know that God also gave man a natural diet. You see what I'm saying? He gave him a vegetarian, vegan, fruitarian diet. You see what I'm saying? The herbs and the fruits of the field. You know what I'm saying? And we see also that when the Lord formed them, the Lord, you know what I'm saying, he planted a garden eastward in Eden, and he put the man in which he made of the dust of the ground in the garden, right? Now, like, you know what I'm saying, like I showed a couple of times, we know what? Based upon Ezekiel 31, we know that there are cedars in the garden of God. You feel what I'm saying? So we can see the holy and the more natural way, you know what I'm saying, when you're dealing with purity, right? When you're dealing with moral purity, incorruptibility. You see what I'm saying? So I just wanted to say that, you know what I'm saying, and bring that out. I think that's pretty much all I want to say for the introduction and the disclaimer. I just wanted to, I just had to say, clear certain things up, before I get into this video, so I don't run my brethren and my sister in the way, when you holler that blood sacrifice and blood covenant, you know what I'm saying, people be ready to dip. So, I just want y'all to understand where I'm coming from and where I'm building from, you know what I'm saying. Like I say, from my platform, we've been dealing with these cedars, man. It's strictly separation, purification. You know what I'm saying? And logically, we know what way of life is in accordance with that. You know what I'm saying? So just wanted to clear those things up. You know what I'm saying? So without further ado, you know what I'm saying, let's get into the information and let's go ahead and dig. Okay, so first off, you know what I'm saying, I want to lead you guys to some information. This brother right here dropped a powerful series. I think it's like 4 parts. Brother Thomas Boone, you know what I'm saying, go check him out, go subscribe. Oh man, Lion Pen of the Scribes Part 1, Cain and Abel and their offerings being switched. Must watch. Now listen fam, do this for me. If you love your boy, do this for me. Go get it. Go watch it. Please. Can you do that? Can you just go and watch it for me? Thank you. That's all I want you to do. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm going to tell you right now, when you watch this video, there is no way you're going to be able to look at this information, and just cast it to the side. There's no way you're just going to, be able to deny like that, because the brother put it together so swiftly for you. I'm telling you. But I want to show it because I want to be coming with this document here. You see, I want to read I'm read a few pieces out of it later on in this video. Thank you, brother, for this video. So y'all go check this out. Cain and Abel and their offerings being switched, for those of you who are wondering and inquiring about the Cain and Abel story. Like we know Abel did the sacrifice his father did. We know what type of sacrifice Adam would have did. You see what I'm saying? And we see what happened with Cain in his sacrifice. Because like my bro even said, when you look at murderous people, they always have this this history of murdering animals first. You see what I'm saying? That's how it started. You know what I'm saying? They would murder animals when they were youthful, you know what I'm saying, when they're adolescent, you know, and in their childhood, and then they would grow up and they would grow into, you know, a deeper thing. See what I'm saying? So, you know, just taking to consideration when you're looking at Cain and Abel and their offerings, what they have in the King James Bible, but realistically we know through the ancient text that they were switched. You see what I'm saying? And we see what else came with Cain's sacrifice. We see murder came with Cain's sacrifice, blood. You see what I'm saying? So listen, just go catch the video. If you want to stop this right now, and then go catch that, and then come back, do that. You know what I'm saying? But I really want y'all to catch this. So yeah, and also I'm gonna show you guys a couple of clips out of this right here, man. It's Quetzalcoatl and Yahweh, Alien Covenant of Blood. Alright, so as you can see right here, we're dealing with the Mesoamerican god, right? Of the Aztecs and the Mayans and the Yucatan in Mesoamerica, and then we're dealing with the biblical, you know, supposedly the god of the Hebrews, right? This Yahweh, but we already know that's hijacked right there. So Alien Covenant of Blood, right? So let's get into this.
Hello, this is Lawrence Gallian, your host of The Place Inside. Something happened about 2,000 years ago. An object was observed racing across the sky, making a maneuver no comet could make. It was observed by astronomers around the world, from Vietnam to India, all the way to Mexico. Around that same time, a city is seeded that grows at an incredible rate to dominate all of Mesoamerica. The city is dominated by a god said to have descended from the heavens. Someone or something brought the knowledge to build immense pyramids, among the largest in the world, to a culture that had not built anything higher than the roofs of their mud huts. The ancient peoples of Mesoamerica, the Mayans, Aztecs, and all the others, shared gods and legends, including Quetzalcoatl. The Mayans called him Kukulkan. It's said he invented the calendar, the one that ends on the winter solstice, December 21st, 2012. To those ancient people, the world was not just a threatening place, but was one that changed and shifted. We believe that the world we were born into is the only world that has ever existed. That's not true at all. Repeatedly, over the eons, world-shattering calamities have wiped out the major life forms on Earth. Not just the dinosaurs, but other mass extinctions. The ancient Mayans and Aztecs had a more realistic view of history. They realized that the world around them was just the latest in a series of worlds that had previously existed. Each of the previous worlds fell to shattering, cataclysmic events. What we would call hits from planet-killing asteroids, earthquakes, ice ages, fire, and flood, but what they thought of as the violent whims of the gods. They believed civilizations lost their way and were wiped out by angry gods. The gods of ancient Mexico, especially the Aztecs, were nourished with human blood. It gave the sun god the strength to rise each day, the rain god the strength to water the earth, and the war god the strength to win battles. So the gods made a covenant with mankind. Blood. It gave the sun god the nations lost their way and were wiped out by angry gods. The gods of ancient Mexico, especially the Aztecs, were nourished with human blood. It gave the sun god the strength to rise each day, the rain god the strength to water the earth, and the war god the strength to win battles. So the gods made a covenant with mankind. Feed us blood, and we will give you rain and sunshine for a good harvest, and strength and courage for victory in war. The gods made a covenant with mankind. Feed us blood, and we will give you rain and sunshine for a good harvest, and strength and courage for victory in war. There were a group of people. We are familiar with the term werewolves. In the ancient time of the Aztecs, there were jaguars. They were jaguars because they also drank their victims' blood. Legends of shape-changing beasts exist all over the world. European werewolves, African leopard men, tiger men in India. In Mexico, it's jaguars because the beasts have a special place in the lore of Latin America. They're the only great roaring cats in the Americas. Creatures of dangerous grace and savage power, but at least 300 or 400 pounds. Not exactly something you would want to pet. The indigenous peoples have always feared and revered them. The word jaguar comes from their word jaguar, he who kills with one leap. There was the Great Pyramids. I am revealing a great mystery here to you. The Aztecs themselves were afraid of Teotihuacan. They were called the stormtroopers of ancient Mexico. They feared the ghost city after the people of Teotihuacan mysteriously disappeared. They sensed dark magic at the huge pyramids and temples along the Grand Boulevard, which I've mentioned to you, that's called the Avenue of the Dead. The main god and the legendary builder of the city was said to be particularly bloodthirsty. Now, Teotihuacan is often just abbreviated as Teo, but the temples along the Grand Boulevard, which I've mentioned to you, that's called the Avenue of the Dead. The main god and the legendary builder of the city was said to be particularly bloodthirsty. Now, Teotihuacan is often just abbreviated as Teo, but the hypothesis is that this great civilization that suddenly arose at Teo and disappeared as suddenly and mysteriously was created by a being of superior intelligence, and that being most likely was a visitor from beyond. Its high state of civilization suddenly appeared in a region of the world isolated from the march of progress. This was a great city. In thousands of years, nothing to compare came about on the entire continent. It ruled an enormous empire and built world-class edifices. What occurred at Teotihuacan was a sudden explosion of progress and the rise of an empire with a territory larger than that of Western Europe. Even more astonishing is that the region basically relied upon a single crop, corn, and had no beasts of burden. No horses, no mules, no donkeys, oxen, cattle. Look at the Pyramid of the Sun. As high as a 20-story building, and if it were hollow, the Houston Astrodome could fit inside it. It's bigger than 2 of Egypt's 3 biggest pyramids, and the city around it went for miles in every direction and ruled an empire that extended 2,000 miles. Ancient Mexicans and ancient Egyptians who lived halfway around the world from each other and never could have interacted had amazing similarities. Both worshipped feathered serpent deities, built the largest pyramids on earth, used hieroglyphics as their writing system, invented paper, developed sophisticated mathematics and astronomy, and had a 365-day calendar. While ancient Egypt has been studied extensively for centuries, the wonders of ancient Mexico have been barely scratched, and for a scientist to even suggest the incredible similarities were anything but a pure coincidence would subject the scientist to the most intense ridicule. A significant event occurred in the 1st century around the time of Christ, shortly before Teo rose to become the greatest city of the Americas. A fiery object was seen flying across the sky from east to west. Astronomers in China, India, and Rome recorded the event as a comet, but noted that it was much brighter and appeared closer to Earth than any comet seen before. Even more perplexing was a claim that the object changed course. It didn't take much for ancient people to decide that this was a god racing around the world in a fiery chariot. Now, interestingly, there was a creature associated very much with Teotihuacan, Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent. The creature in depictions of him appears grotesque, with the head of a giant snake, the jaws of a shark, and the plumes of a tropical bird. It's called an archaeobeast, an ancient supernatural spirit or preternatural beast usually associated with an archaeological site. Cultures all over the world have them. Quetzalcoatl is just more ferocious looking than the others. Now, we don't know exactly what he looked like, but Teotihuacan was ruled by a god king by the name of Quetzalcoatl. This is an historical fact. We don't know whether there was a single king with that name or a series of them using the name. As you recall, in previous podcasts we have spoken about beings such as Merlin, and that Merlin was a title and not just limited to one human being. So that could have been the case with Quetzalcoatl. The legend was that he was a frightful creature, a feathered serpent that flew in. The ancient Mexicans identified Quetzalcoatl with the evening star, a flaming object in the sky, like the biblical one human being. So that could have been the case with Quetzalcoatl. The legend was that he was a frightful creature, a feathered serpent that flew in. The ancient Mexicans identified Quetzalcoatl with the evening star, a flaming object in the sky. Like the biblical Genesis, the legend of him is a creation story in which he creates humans. Descending from the sky, he found a deserted world in which everyone had died. He gathered the bones of the dead and anointed them with his own blood, so that they rose back to life. He, by the way, is the bloodthirsty gentleman who instituted the blood covenant. Now, close to Teotihuacan is another city named Cuicuilco. If you ask most Mexicans living today of the dead and anointed them with his own blood, so that they rose back to life. He, by the way, is the bloodthirsty gentleman who instituted the blood covenant. Now, close to Teotihuacan is another city named Cuicuilco. If you ask most Mexicans living today about how we're going to get around to talking about the famous Yahweh and his hijinks in the Bible, many people Now we're going to get around to talking about the famous Yahweh and his hijinks in the Bible. Talking about the famous Yahweh and his hijinks in the Bible. Many people put down and disregard the peoples of Mesoamerica because of this quote-unquote blood covenant, and they describe them as backwards people. Well, it wasn't any more barbaric than the Romans putting thousands of men, women, and children to death in the arena, often letting them be ripped to pieces sacrifices by wild animals as the crowds cheered, or the Inquisition burning people at the stake, or perhaps the French executioners holding up the quote-unquote talking heads of people guillotined. Then there's the murder of 6 million Jews. So can we really say that the Mesoamericans were brutish, far behind our lofty Western civilization? The history of humanity is a chronicle of inhumanity. In the pre-Columbian world, it was thought of as a matter of survival. The people believed that there were constant power struggles in the form of war and chaos among the gods. Now, this is not different than the history of humanity is a chronicle of inhumanity. In the pre-Columbian world, it was thought of as a matter of survival. The people believed that there were constant power struggles in the form of war and chaos among the gods. Now, this is not different than what you read in the Mahabharata. But the Mesoamericans believed that it was up to humanity to maintain order in the cosmos, and that order could be maintained only by pacifying the gods with bloody sacrifices in the cosmos, and that order could be what you read in the Mahabharata. But the Mesoamericans believed that it was up to humanity to maintain order in the cosmos, and that order could be maintained only by pacifying the gods with bloody sacrifices. Again, sounds a little bit like Yahweh, doesn't it? Now, unfortunately, the people who did the reconstruction of the Pyramid of the Sun and the Pyramid of the Moon at Teotihuacan did not do a But the Mesoamericans believed that it was up to humanity to maintain order in the cosmos, and that order could be maintained only by pacifying the gods with bloody sacrifices. Again, sounds a little bit like Yahweh, doesn't it? Now, unfortunately, the people who did the reconstruction...
Okay, so I gotta build on that for a second. So, these people was believing that the only way, you know what I'm saying, that they could maintain order in the cosmos, that the only way the sun would rise, you know what I'm saying, the next day, you know what I'm saying, the only time, you know, the moonlight will shine or anything is if the gods were appeased with blood. And the gods became angry because check this out. You know what I'm saying? When you serving a God who's requiring blood, like these gods that came and told them that if you give us, you know, all this, if you make all these blood sacrifices, we'll give you, you know what I'm saying, the you know, prosperous harvest and all these good things like that. But so that's already hijacked. You feel what I'm saying? So if you sacrificing to these gods for these things that only the Creator giving you, you're not gonna get them. So then when you don't get them, now you feel like the God's angry. You feel what I'm saying? Now they need more blood. You feel what I'm saying? That's you see what I'm saying? Like, it's like, because the angrier the gods were, the more they had to sacrifice. See what I'm saying? Just like I say, when somebody starts to, you know, when somebody has a murderous history, it usually started off small with them murdering animals. So we can see how this animal sacrifice can lead to human sacrifice when we're still sacrificing to Baal, you see what I'm saying, and not getting the things that only the Creator can give us. Now we feel like we need more blood. You know what I'm saying? Satan over there telling you, I need lambs, rams, hog, you feel me? I need goats, everything. You know what I'm saying? Boy, I need blood. Oh, it ain't enough. Boy, I need humans. I need blood, 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 blood. Now ask yourself, man, you know what I'm saying? Is that hijack? You know how they be like, weed is a gateway drug? You know what I'm saying? They be like, oh, smoking weed can cause you to, you know, start, engaging in cocaine use and other drugs and stuff like that. Well, I'm gonna tell you right, this animal sacrifice is like it's a gateway drug. You know what I'm saying? Because our Father didn't ordain, you know, any blood sacrifices. So as we begin to sacrifice to Baal, these false gods, they begin to require more and more blood. You see what I'm saying? We're going to get into that, but I just wanted to build on that just for a second. And what's also funny about the situation is that this particular YouTube author is referencing the practice of this Quetzalcoatl to the Yahweh of the Bible. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, we on our indigenous American drop, we already know what time it is, but, you know, I find those correlations very valid, and it's interesting that he would be, you know, making those correlations.
Mesoamericans believed that it was up to humanity to maintain order in the cosmos, and that order could be maintained only by pacifying the gods with bloody sacrifices. Again, sounds a little bit like Yahweh, doesn't it? The Magic and Mysteries of Mexico, written in 1930, wrote, "A great lesson is to be learned from old Mexico. For our own world is demon-haunted. The powers and principalities of black magic beset it as never before. Evil is tireless. All evil works through a magic of its own, a black magic which expresses itself in forms so numerous and so protean that it is frequently indistinguishable from goodness and beauty." Every year there is a celebration to Our Lady. Black magic beset it as never before. Evil is tireless. All evil works through a magic of its own, a black magic which expresses itself in forms so numerous and so protean that it is frequently indistinguishable from goodness and beauty. Every year there is a celebration to Our Lady of Guadalupe, the appearance of the powers and principalities of black magic beset it as never before. Evil is tireless. All evil works through a magic of its own, a black magic which expresses itself in forms so numerous and so protean that it is frequently indistinguishable from goodness and beauty.
Alright, so fam, hope you guys enjoyed that. Got some jewels out of it. So really, now for what this video is mainly about, I'm gonna be building on El Dorado. I just wanted to touch on this a little bit. Not really gonna be, you know, getting into too much. But since we dealing, you know, we on our indigenous truth, you know what I'm saying? We know that we in the promised land. We know that when the Papal Bull of 1452, the Dum Diversus, was issued, it was issued, you know, by those Roman pagans to come over here and seize the Holy Land and the Holy City. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they came to do. So when we look at these civilizations over here in America, we know these are our ancient biblical. Some of them, for the most part, are some of our northern and southern kingdom Israelite cities. So so with this movie El Dorado, man, I feel like it's kind of deep because it shows the arrival of you know, of the Spanish conquistadors to, you know, our golden city. You know what I'm saying? Our El Dorado. So which is why I wanted to show you guys the correlation between the Quetzalcoatl and the Yahweh alien blood covenant, right? So as you can see, you know what I'm saying, the video has to do with the wicked administration of priests. You see what I'm saying? And how these priests, right, began going astray, which ultimately catered to the demise. And with this story and this movie, we're gonna be able to see that you know what I'm saying, beautifully. So I don't want to talk too much, but I do want to, before we get into the movie, I do want to go over 3 things. And so first, we'll be dealing with El Dorado and what it actually is. So all of you, you know what I'm saying, go check out the information on what El Dorado. I hope you have some background information. I'm not really gonna get too much on the background, but I will pull this article right here because it was interesting. Now, when you understand El Dorado, it has this other name, Manoa, which I find very interesting. Now, this article right here, from Geographicus, is an antique map blog. El Dorado, Manoa, Lake Premier Pati, and the Lost City of Z. Now, we know this movie just came out in 2016, right? You know what I'm saying? And they was in South America looking for the Lost City of Z. Now, we know what Z is. You know what I'm saying? We know what that is. So, pay attention to these two things. So, let me see if I should even get into this. Hold on. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and read a little bit. I'm gonna start right here. I felt compelled to write on the Legend of El Dorado. This book is a wonderful read, offers some surprising insights, and exceptionally well researched. We highly recommended it. Grant's Lost City of Z focuses on Fawcett's expeditions in the lower Xingu, a southern tributary of the Amazon. Here, Fawcett believed he would discover a great lost city, and indeed modern archaeologists are unearthing just such a site in this precise area. The modern-day discoverer of these ruins, archaeological Michael Heckenberger, who had unearthed several great cities surrounded by massive moats and connected by gigantic arrow straight causeway roads. I jump down a little bit. It says the legend of El Dorado, or Golden Man, seems to be an amalgamation of the fact of a fantasy. The legend, which describes a great king who is covered in gold dust, so that he shines like a god before cleansing himself in a sacred lake, is based on Chibcha ritual. Okay. Let's see. By the time Europeans had arrived, this practice seemed to have been largely abandoned, but it is easy to imagine why Europeans fresh from conquest of Peru and Mexico would be drawn to the idea. However, we digress. The real culprit reason for several hundred years of mapping El Dorado and Lake Premier in Guyana must be Sir Walter Raleigh, I guess, who explored this region in search of the legendary Kingdom of Gold in 1595. Raleigh was the first to connect El Dorado to the land or city of Manoa. Raleigh does not visit the city of Manoa, which he believes is El Dorado himself, due to onset of the rainy season. However, he describes the city based on indigenous accounts as resting over the salt lake over 200 leagues long somewhere in somewhat today Guyana, northern Brazil. Alright, I'm just skimming through it, you know what I'm saying? But the reason why I wanted to read that is because it was associated with the lost city of Z. Like I said, now we know what this is, right? We know what Z is, right? We know this Zion. Okay, so Zion is Jerusalem. So they coming over here looking for a golden city, right? El Dorado, which they call Manoa, right? And is also associated with the lost city of Z, or the book, you know what I'm saying, the person had wrote. Now what's interesting is when you understand Manoa, Ad Dorado, which is the city of El Dorado, you get these depictions right here, right? For Manoa. Now what's funny about some of these depictions is, like when you look at some of the old depictions of Jerusalem, ancient depictions of Jerusalem, you get these round cities, this walled city, you know what I'm saying, like that. So you know, you know what I'm saying, just something to just to put in perspective and dig on, based upon the city of El Dorado. And just to put that into perspective, to understand that these people are coming over here to the promised land, to an Israelite city. So how are these people able to take the city, and what is the people doing to allow them to take the city? You know what I'm saying? That's a very important key point, you know what I'm saying, as we progress. So let's go. Okay, so with all that being said, I want to come over here real quick because again, when you're looking at the city of El Dorado, we know the mythology is you know, mainly in South America, you know, more than it is in Mesoamerica. But we can see in the movie the city is more of a Mesoamerican looking city, you know. But at the same time, you know, it probably could have looked like that in South America. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? But you know, you see more castles with the Incas than you see the, you know, the palaces with the cities in the Yucatan. So I want to read this wiki tab right here called White Gods, because we know when you dig into this you know, this Mesoamerican, the people of it, Aztecs, Mayans, whatever, you dig into their mythology, you see that they have this pantheon dealing with this white god, right? Which they believe to be the conquistadors, who are in fact coming for their destruction. But it's very interesting, you know what I'm saying? And I always wondered, like, why in the heck are these people waiting on white gods? But then it hit me, especially with the movie El Dorado. You know, it kind of all made sense. And it just showed me how, like, white supremacy was really installed before these Europeans even came by the hand of Satan. So let's read. It said, white gods is the belief that ancient cultures around the world were visited by Caucasian races in ancient times, and that they were known as white gods. Now I'm gonna say this. Now we know the fallen angels, right, tend to be albinoid. Okay, so I just want to say that. All right, now the children come and walk around this joker wreaking havoc. Now let me stop, but you know what I'm saying. But for real though, we know, you know, that much, so just keep that in mind as well. Okay, based on 16th century accounts of the Spanish conquistadors being greeted as gods. Okay, being greeted as gods by the people of the New World. Okay, certain modern authors have expanded the concept beyond what is historically verified. Okay, so see that, you know what I'm saying. But anyway, spreading it to the genre of pseudo-archaeological literature and fringe theorists, such as writers on ancient astronauts or Atlantis, in some instances as Christian identity. Bam, bam, bam. Okay. Alright. Even acquiring quasi-religious or racialist white supremacist connotations. See what I'm saying? Bam. It is claimed by some authors that white missionaries or gods visited Americas before Christopher Columbus. Authors use quotes from mythology and legends which discuss ancient gods such as Quetzalcoatl to include that the legends were actually based on Caucasians visiting those areas, and that Caucasians were really the gods. Alright, people drop. Look, Spanish chroniclers from the 16th century claimed that when the conquistadors led by Francisco Pizarro first encountered the eagles down there in South America and Peru, they were greeted as gods. Hold on. You know what I'm saying? Hold on one second. Alright, sorry about that, fam. So what I was saying was, okay, we can see that the conquistadors, you know what I'm saying, being greeted as gods, right? It's a Spanish chronicler. We can see that happened in Mesoamerica, right? With the Aztecs and Mayans, Quetzalcoatl. And then also right here show you that happened in South America, right? With the Incas in Peru. So it's a Spanish chroniclers from the 16th century claim that when the conquistadors led by Francisco Pizarro encountered the Incas, they were greeted as gods. See what I'm saying? Viracochas, because their lighter skin resembled their god Viracocha. This story was first reported by Pedro Ciez de Leon, and later by Pedro Sarmiento de Gamboa. Similar accounts by Spanish chroniclers describe Viracocha as a white god, often with a beard. Okay, so you can see that all throughout the Americas, right, in Meso and in South America, these people were they had this belief of this white god, right? And when these conquistadors came, they greeted them as gods. You see what I'm saying? And it's funny how, like I said, these people are envisioning this god that is very similar to the fallen ones. All right, so continuing on, Rupert Ferniaux also linked white gods to the city of Tiwanaku. Remember that? Tiwanaku, the Anak. I did a video on that. The land of Anak. Right? And they were giants, right? They were sons of fallen ones. Crazy. Colonial A. Braggeen, in his 1940 book, The Shadows of Atlantis, claimed that the Carib people have reports and legends of white bearded men who they called Tamu or Zun, who had come from the east and taught the people agriculture. He later disappeared in an easterly direction. Braggeen also claimed Manco Capac was white bearded man. The author of Atlantis linked white gods to the biblical flood. Shh, crazy. So yeah, man, y'all catch that. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to, get it. Okay, let me read this. Some Mormons believe that Quetzalcoatl, a figure described as white and bearded who came from the sky and promised to return, was likely Jesus Christ. Oh yeah, I had to get this. Yeah, this is a drop. According to the scriptural account recorded in the Book of Mormon, Jesus Christ visited and taught natives of Americas following his resurrection, and regarded them as other sheep. He had reference during his mortal ministry. The Book of Mormon also claims that Jesus Christ appears as others following his resurrection, even to the inhabitants of the Isles of the Sea. Okay. The story of the life of the Mexican divinity Quetzalcoatl closely resembles that of the Savior, so closely indeed that we can come to no other conclusion than that the Quetzalcoatl and Christ are the same being. Bam! Now peep that out now. Peep that out. You know what I'm saying? The same being. They so similar. But it's a reason for that. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to get into that. Okay, so wanted to come over here. We have blue letter Bible. And I put in the word minister just to show you just a couple scriptures. You know what I'm saying? Like for example, let's see here. Show also the Levites, the minister of the house. Let's see, ye priests, how ye ministers of the altar, let the priests, the ministers of the Lord, right? So the priests are the ministers, right? As we've been digging. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so the priests are the ministers of the Lord. Hold on one second. Okay, so they are the ministers. So now we know a minister, right? The verb and the etymology on it is to perform religious rites and provide religious service, right? To serve, right? It means you are a servant. Okay, so now we know that the religious service in which they provide is what? What does a minister do? They are members of the executive and legislative branches of government, which they write and enforce law. So they provide religious services by writing law, right? So the priests are the ministers. They are the law writers and lawgivers. Now we know that the lawgivers, right? The lawgiver is one who makes or enacts a code of laws. You feel me? Now the lawgiver is the legislator. Right? A lawgiver, a maker of laws, proposer of laws. So we see that in God's kingdom, the legislative branch of government is dealing with the priests, the ministers. They are the lawgivers, right? They are the writers of the law. Okay, so so God gave these priests, these Levites, the audience of giving the laws. So, like I say, the law connects us to the Creator, and we receive our universal science, right? Our laws from these priests. All right. Okay, so so now with that being said, we can look around and see that, you know, we have found ourselves in the midst of Babylon, in the midst of captivity and bondage, which means we somehow disconnected ourselves from our divine covenant, which means that our lawgivers were giving us incorrect laws and statutes of worship. You see what I'm saying? So I always want to come to Malachi, which is messenger, which is the messenger of the covenant, right? which are your priests, you know what I'm saying, your Levites, particular prophets, you know what I'm saying. So I just want to read this real quick out of Malachi chapter 2. It say, "And now, O ye priests, this commandment is for you. If you will not hear, if you will not lay it to heart to give glory unto my name, saith the Lord, I will even send a curse upon you, and I will curse your blessings. Yeah, I have cursed them already, because you do not lay it to heart." Now pay attention to that. I will curse your blessings. I have cursed them already. Alright. "Behold, I will corrupt your seed and spring dung upon your faces, even the dung of your solemn feasts, and one shall take you away with it." Okay. "And you shall know that I have set this commandment unto you, that my covenant might be with Levi," right? My laws were with Levi, because he is the lawgiver, right? "My covenant was with him of life and peace." Of life and peace. "And I gave them to him for fear, wherein he feared me and was afraid before my name." Alright. "The law of truth was in his mouth, iniquity was not found in his lips. He walked with me in peace and equity, and did turn many away from iniquity." Alright. "For the priest's lips shall keep knowledge. They shall seek the law at his mouth, for he is the messenger of the Lord of hosts." Right? So the priest's lips shall keep knowledge, and the people of the children of Israel shall seek the law at his mouth. Okay? But, alright, "but ye are departed out of the way. Ye have caused many to stumble at the law." Right? "Ye have corrupted the covenant of Levi, saith the Lord of hosts." He said, "Therefore also I made you contemptible and base before all people, according as ye have not kept my ways, but have been partial in the law." Alright, so check that out. Okay, so again, we see that the priest's lips, you know what I'm saying, shall keep knowledge, and they shall seek the law at his mouth, right? So he is the lawgiver. He gives you the statutes of worship, which connects you to the Creator. Like I say, we are in the midst of Babylon in captivity, which means that our priests must have been, you know what I'm saying, doing something that was not in accordance with our divine law and our divine Creator. You know what I'm saying? So like in a couple of videos now, we was digging on Jeremiah 8:8, where he tells us, you know, how do we say that we are wise and that the law of the Lord is with us? He say, "No, certainly he say, certainly in vain made he it, the pen of the scribes made is in vain." So we see here in this verse that Jeremiah the prophet is telling us, you know what I'm saying, that the law is really not with us because it is in vain, because the pen of the scribes wrote it incorrectly, right? They wrote it vainly. But what's you know, what's even more telling is when you go to Jeremiah chapter 2, you know what I'm saying, and you look at verse 8, right? It says, "The priest said not, where is the Lord?" Okay, so the priest said not, where is the Most High? Hawa. He said, "They handled the law." He said, "They that handled the law knew me not." Bam. All right, so, right, that tells you what you need to know right there, right? They that handled the law knew me not. Right? Those who are orchestrating, administering law, the priests, the lawgivers, the ministers, they that handled the law knew me not. It say, "The pastors also transgressed against me, and the prophets prophesied by Baal," right? "And walked after things that do not profit." Alright, you know what I'm saying? It say, "For I will plead with you, saith the Lord, and with your children's children, which I plead with you, because I'm seeing you in the bondage." Alright, so you know what I'm saying? But just with that verse alone, we can see right here, right, how the priests went wicked. Right? Those who were handling the law were not dealing with the Most High God. In fact, they were prophesying by Baal. Okay? So, so with all that being said, like I say, I want to take you guys over to the movie El Dorado. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna build on something. We're gonna catch a few clips out of it. You know what I'm saying? And it's gonna be very foretelling, and it's gonna show you how our priests were prophesying by Baal and what that came with. You see what I'm saying? Content disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed in the media or comments on this channel are those of the speakers or authors and do not necessarily reflect or represent the views and opinions held by this channel's broadcaster. Due to the social nature of this broadcasting channel videos may contain content copyrighted by other entity or persons. This channel's owner claims no copyright to said content. The broadcaster of this channel cannot be held accountable for the copyright content. The broadcaster of this channel is a messenger and sharer of information and strives to verify but cannot warrant the accuracy of copyrights or completeness of the information on this channel. If you have a complaint about something or find content is being used incorrectly, please contact the broadcaster prior to making a copyright claim. Any infringement was not done on purpose and will be rectified to all parties' satisfaction. Fair use, fair use. All right, so yeah, man. Like I say, want to build on the movie El Dorado real quick and play a few clips and like I say, fair use, because if I feel like if they'll play these clips, man, they probably gonna try to shut this video down with some copyright stuff. But let's hope for the better. So right here, man, I just want to show y'all this clip real quick. As we already know, and then like if you catch the intro, you know what I'm saying, the song, right, that comes on, the song of El Dorado, you see they talking about the promised land. You know what I'm saying, in the city of gold, right? They got the maps, right? They're coming to the city of gold. We know they're coming to the promised land, right? The Romans are finna come seize Jerusalem, the real one. Alright, so check this out.
Cortez. My crew was as carefully chosen as the disciples of Christ.
Okay, so check that out. You know what I'm saying? Your boy Cortez, now we know he ransacked and seized the city and came over here and wreaked havoc and whatnot. But check out what he say. He say, my crew was as carefully chosen as the disciples of Christ. Bam, alright? Because we know he is sent by the decree from the Pope to his kings, right? His kings of Spain, his kings and queens of Spain. You know what I'm saying? With a decree for them to come over here and sell and seize these lands and install Christianity, right? Subjugate all of those pagans and Saracens who did not accept Christ. So as you can see right here, they come in the name of Christ and Christianity, and his crew is, like he said, carefully chosen as the disciples of Christ. You know, but we see what his crew came to do. So you know what I'm saying, just want to show that real quick. Let's keep going.
Hello. Paradise is close at hand. Shangri-La, the promised land.
Alright, so right here in this scene, man, I just wanted to show this real quick because what's going on is the Aztecs are getting ready to lead these two suckers into their city. You know what I'm saying? Because as you can see here, they already have prophecies of these gods, right, coming. You know what I'm saying? And so they like they say, when they came, they greeted them as gods. So as you can see, these copper color aboriginal people, right, in paradise in the promised land, in their golden cities, are welcoming the arrival of these false gods, or people who they believe to be gods. Now we know it's Cortez, and it ain't got nothing to do with these two in real life, but you know, the movie gets to that at a later point, but you see what's going on here, so I just wanted to show that real quick. Alright, check this out. You see it? Alright, so now we're finna get into the meat, man. As you can see right now, we're looking at the temple of the priest, right? Not only is he the priest, he's the high priest. Okay, so he's the lawgiver. You feel what I'm saying? Now look at this temple. Temple already crazy looking, you know what I'm saying? But anybody who's seen the movie, you already know the priest is completely off. You know what I'm saying? He's completely wicked, and he's also bloodthirsty. You know what I'm saying? So with all that in mind, man, just keep these clips and we're gonna come back and build.
Well, it was nice working with you, partner.
Tulio, I just want you to know, I'm sorry about that girl in Barcelona.
So, you...
Behold! As the prophecies foretold, the time of judgment is now! Citizens, did I not predict that the gods would come to us?
Alright, man, so let's break that down. Two interesting things right there. At the arrival of these white gods, look what the priests say. He say what? The time of judgment is now. Judgment. Alright, and we see what happened to the kingdom. The kingdom was definitely judged, right? But he said the time of judgment is now. Alright, now this is one of the most important pieces. Is this part right here. What this sorry joke over here hollering by. Citizens, did I not predict that the gods would come to us? So, again, their arrival is by his prediction. Like I told you, the priests are the ministers, right? The priests are the lawgivers. You feel what I'm saying? The priests are the administrators of the spirituality of the nation, right? Their statutes of worship, how they are joined to their power, right? It is mediated through the priests. So if these people, right, have this God they waiting on, right? This white God to come, and it is all by the prophecy, right, of this wicked priest. Okay, he is expecting their arrival to be their gods, but really we know what judgment is coming. Got to go back to Jeremiah chapter 2 verse 8. The priest said not, where is the Lord? And they handled the law, knew me not. And they that handled the law knew me not. And the pastors also transgressed against me, and the prophets prophesied by Baal.
As the prophecies foretold, the time of judgment is now! Citizens, did I not predict that the gods would come to us? My lords, I am Quetzalcoatl, your devoted high priest and speaker for the gods.
Alright, so you see that, you know what I'm saying? The priest is the speaker of the gods, you know, the speaker of the gods, right? He's the mediator, right? He's the one who handles all the prophecies, the spirituality, the sacred text writing, stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? He's the one orchestrating these people's spirituality. And he's obviously wicked, and he's obviously worshiping Baal, right? Because the man is seriously off the rocker and bloodthirsty. You know what I'm saying? Now this scene right here, I just want to show this real quick, because you can see with this scene when you know, that little whole volcano scene, which is crazy, but at the same time, you know, it was like an establishing of the ecclesiastical claim, right? Like I've been building with the storm that saved Washington and things like that. In divine providence, you have something what you call special providence, right? Or yeah, special providence, which is the special or the divine like, you know, some type of divine deed, you know, in which or some extraordinary miracle by the hand of the creator, you know, for the people, some way that the creator steps in and does something miraculously and miracle. That's called special providence, right? Or divine providence. Basically God coming in and supporting an ecclesiastical right, you know what I'm saying? So this could have been something that, you know, the Most High used to support the false divinity in these people, so that they would have the power to be seen as a divinity in the mind of the indigenous. You see what I'm saying? That's why I say, when you understand what's going on, white supremacy is pre-Columbian, and it is due to the worship of Baal and the administering of wicked priests, right? So with stuff like this right here going on, you can see how the power of these white folks, you know what I'm saying, that supremacy was able to be instilled in the mind of the indigenous, right? If their priests are already prophesied and they're coming as gods, and then they see certain things like this happen, right? Even though they realize these people aren't gods, but by that time, you know what I'm saying, it's too late. But, you know, we can see that, so we can continue to build. All right, I thought this was very interesting what the sis say right here. Check out the sister.
I'm sure you know the proper rituals for blessing and tribute.
All right. The proper rituals for blessing the tribute, the holy days on the calendar.
Holy days on the calendar. Oh, and of course you know all about Shibaba.
So I just wanted to get that, you know what I'm saying, talking about the, you know, the rituals and the holy days of the calendar, you know, sounds like Israelite customs.
I think I'm qualified to come across all sanctified. I just don't cut it with the cherubim.
Alright, man, I thought that was real interesting right there, you know what I'm saying, when he was like, you know, I just don't cut it with the cherubim. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not really gonna dig on cherubim too much. You should, you know, cherubim, seraphim, you know what I'm saying? But what's crazy just off the road is this right here, the protection of the Garden of Eden, right? One of the main things the cherubims are known for, being placed at the gates of the garden, right, of paradise, right? And it's crazy because these are the gods that's infesting supposedly paradise, and they're saying they just don't cut it with the cherubim, right, the protectors of paradise. I find that very funny and interesting.
Hey, Joe, what's going on?
It's not gonna be good.
Thank you.
This city has been granted a great blessing, and what have we done?
To show our gratitude, a meager celebration.
The gods deserve a proper tribute! The beginning of a new era! The dawning of a new age! Demands
sacrifice.
I don't like this.
Julio, we've got to do something.
Stop! This is not a proper tribute.
You do not want the tribute.
No. We want tribute. It's just that, Julio, tell him.
The stars are not in position for this tribute.
I humbly request an audience with you, my lord.
Lord, yes. What can I do for you?
My lord, I have just seen Lord Miguel out among the people.
Really?
If I may be so bold as to offer some advice.
All right. Shoot.
My lord, you are perfect.
Oh, well, go on.
But in your perfection, you cannot know how imperfect humans are. Like snakes. Spineless and slippery. They are as untrustworthy as rats, stealing and cheating with no remorse. Spinning webs of lies like spiders.
Stop it! That's disgusting.
They're beyond disgusting.
Yeah, way beyond.
Then we're in agreement. I'll begin the necessary preparations immediately. Now, do you wish to have your victims bound to an altar? Or would you prefer them free range? And will you be devouring their essence whole, or piece by piece?
Zach, you've lost me.
My lord, these people will not respect you if they do not fear you.
And, of course, we'll make them fear us by...
Sacrifice, as it is prophesied. The history of the age of the Jaguar will be written in...
Ink?
Blood!
Blood! Oh, right. Important stuff. I should discuss the entire, blood issue right away. Excuse us, won't you? Let's go.
Finally, we're connecting.
Alright, man, I just had to show y'all, you know what I'm saying, them two clips right there, because just to reiterate how bloodthirsty and satanic the priest is, right? The lawgiver is, you know what I'm saying? And the black magic, the black magic, you know what I'm saying? Like, remember from the first video we even played, how they was talking about the city, you know, had this dark feel of blood sacrifice and black magic that was used, right? And then the black magic so numerous that it was frequently indistinguishable, right, from the goodness, right, from good. So it was swiftly interwoven into scripture, basically. You know what I'm saying? So, but you can see right here, man, the priest is just so bloodthirsty and so hell bent on sacrifice.
History of the age of the Jaguar will be written in...
Ink?
Blood! Blood!
Right? Just straight blood, you know what I'm saying? On this age of Jaguar, that is really the age of their destruction. So, you know what I'm saying? So keep that in mind. You know, as well as what the priest said about humans, right? And you know, just how disgusted he act like he was with them, but how in admiration he was of these white gods, right? So doesn't he sound like a dominion of Satan, or a priest of Baal, right? Who is a servant of Baal. So Baal, Satan, doesn't like Adam, right? He doesn't like God's creation, Adam. You feel what I'm saying? So he seeks and he wants to seek to destroy and corrupt everything God got going on between God and Adam, right? Or you know, the original man in which he created. So it's like this priest right here is a servant or a priest of Satan that wants to orchestrate the blood sacrifice of man, right? Just the bloody sacrificial killing of mankind.
Congratulations on your victory. And now you will, of course, wish to have the losing team sacrifice to your glory.
Not again.
Look, Zekel Khan,
Miguel.
forget the sacrifices.
Miguel.
We don't want any sacrifices.
But all of the sacred writings say that you will devour the wicked and the unrighteous.
Well, I don't see anyone here who fits that description.
Well, as speaker for the gods, it would be my privilege to point them out.
The gods are speaking for themselves now. This city and these people have no need for you anymore. There will be no sacrifices. Not now, not ever. Get out!
As the gods command.
Do you know why the gods demand blood?
I don't know.
Because gods don't bleed.
Do you know why the gods demand blood?
I don't know.
Because gods don't bleed. It's time to take the future into my own hands. And the city will be cleansed, even if I have to do it myself.
How?
There are dark magics here. And power. And ooh, my. It's not called the Age of the Jaguar for nothing. Well, is it ready yet? It seems to be missing something. Ah, that's it. It needs more body.
Okay, so bam. You know what I'm saying? You see, he's still sacrificial crazy, blood crazy. Now he done found out, you know what I'm saying, that Miguel and Julio ain't gods because they bleed, right, the blood. He tells us, man, what? He said, you know why the gods require blood? So whoever this priest is serving, right? Whatever god this priest is a minister or servant to, requires blood. So he is under a blood covenant. You see what I'm saying? And he said that the gods don't require blood because they don't bleed. So they want blood. You know what I'm saying? And now what's crazy about this is since he's so hell bent on blood sacrifice, you know, I find it crazy, you know, when you think about Cain and Abel, right? And how they say Cain's sacrifice was the herbs and the fruits of the field, but we know it was really the flock and the sheep and the lamb, right? And how he made that blood sacrifice and it was rejected, and then he killed his brother, right? You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy how your boy was just stewing up the little wicked gumbo, you know what I'm saying? And he tell him he missing something, and he kick his behind right in it, right? And killed them, right? In the blood. Now that blood, none, you know what I'm saying, done kick some stuff up. Now he done received his wicked power. You feel what I'm saying? Let's keep going. Alright, so I wanna come right here real quick at this scene. As you see, the thing that's being operated by your boy Quetzalcoatl is finna smash somebody else. But really what I wanted to just show right here on this scene, man, because I see this symbol a lot in these American cultures, is right here, right? Now get a good look at this right here. Now, as my bro, Natural by Law and King Drop and Hiram and everybody, you know, been digging on the ancient Paleo Hebrew. I remember Natural by Law brought forth this Hebrew alphabet that's derived from hieroglyphs, right? And as you can see that the breath, we was looking at the breath and the feather, right? Hawa. You know what I'm saying? It's the name of the creator, Hawa. The breath, and you see this symbol, right, which we see all over Mesoamerica, but it is the hay and the vav that makes the Hawa. So just look at that swirl symbol in the vav, which is the feather, you know what I'm saying, and then come back over here, you know what I'm saying, you see on the buildings is almost like the name of the creator, you know what I'm saying, is on the buildings and stuff in the city. You know, which will substantiate the fact that it's an Israelite city, you know what I'm saying? Alright, fam, this last scene I'm gonna play from the movie El Dorado, and then we're gonna, you know, put everything in perspective. But this is the scene right here. You see your boy Quetzalcoatl, well, not your boy, but the boy Quetzalcoatl being kicked out the city, right? Being booted out. Alright, so let's check this out. Being booted out. Now look who we run upon. Bam. Alright, so check that out.
My lord.
Okay. So he realizes this is the real God.
Where did you get this?
Alright, okay. So, now, like I say, you see your boy was casted out, right? He was casted out the city, and then he ran up on Cortez. And he seen Cortez and was like, and he remembered the prophecy. As you can see right here, you know what I'm saying? He sees that Cortez is actually the one who fit, you know, who he's waiting on. You know what I'm saying? So he leads Cortez back to the city. He leads Cortez back to the city. Now we know in the movie, the wall fell on them and they didn't make it, but we obviously know what happened in real life. You see what I'm saying? But so we know that this was actually the destruction of the city, right? So here we can see how white supremacy is pre-colonial and pre-Columbian, because we see wicked priests were administering incorrect law, right? They were worshiping Baal. They were prophesying by Baal. You see what I'm saying? So what happened was, when you look at it, is you can see exactly what happened. Satan set himself up in the minds of the indigenous people, right? Through the wicked priesthood. Then sent his dominions, right, to give order, right, the dumb diversers, for them to set up and establish his kingdom over the indigenous people, right, and suppress the indigenous ones, right, because they are already in his mind, in the minds of the indigenous people, they are already white gods. They are white. They waiting on these gods to come over here and apparently save them. But since they wicked, they don't know that they're actually, you know what I'm saying, awaiting their destruction. You feel what I'm saying? But, you know, you can see, though, you know what I'm saying, how Satan, right, the image of the beast, right? Remember the image of the beast? What is that? That's Quetzalcoatl. That's the white God worshiping the image of the beast. This Jesus Christ that they gave us. You see what I'm saying? The priests prophesied, the wicked priests brought in the image of the beast to the people and made them worship it, right? Then Satan, because, you know what I'm saying, Satan set up his dominions because he like, okay, I got your wicked priests. You know what I'm saying? You under my grab, but at the same time, you still the children of Israel. So you're still tied to your creator. You feel me? You can go back to him at any time. Nah, but I know my dominions, though, you know, they going to be loyal to me because they don't have the laws of the creator. You feel what I'm saying? They weren't created in natural audience by the creator. So they going to remain faithful to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put myself in your envisionment, in your prophecies, right? Because you're prophesying by Baal. I'm going to set myself up as a God, in your spirituality. So then I can bring myself over and set up dominion over you and subjugate you. You see what I'm saying? Now, when you done believed all your life that you waiting on white gods, and then they finally come and now they're destroying everything. You see what I'm saying? And then they subjugate you. Then they tell you, look at this image. This is the God, right? Which you've been waiting for. Your priest been telling you about it, you know, probably all your life. So now you see this God, and they tell you worship him or you go to hell. Now you subjugated through Christianity, and not only that, but you couldn't receive your freedom until you converted to the religion, right? So you see how they, you know what I'm saying, suppressed you with the image of Baal, right? But like I say, the image of Baal was instilled in the mind of the indigenous people before the European colonists even came. And it was through the blood covenant, right? It was through blood sacrifice. And we can see how through that blood sacrifice, you know what I'm saying, the oppressor had the power and was able, and was given the dominion to rule over us, So I hope that make a lot of sense. I hope that put a lot of things into perspective, you know what I'm saying, just with, you know, that little bit of reasoning and building right there, through the movie, you know what I'm saying. But, I want to read the article for you guys, and we're going to head out, you know what I'm saying. All right, I'm going to take you guys over here to this document. This is from the brother video, Thomas Boone. I had caught it when I was watching his video, and I just want to read two of the paragraphs in it. This is the Essene humane gospel of Christ, the salvation of the world. Now, like I told you, the Essenes are the Zadokite priests, right? These are the righteous priesthood that the Most High tells us in Ezekiel are the only ones who can minister or give law in the new courts of Jerusalem. So by their interpretation of the law, are we going to be connected back to our Father, right, and reestablished on the promised land in the new Jerusalem? You see what I'm saying? Now, like I said, I know a lot of our people on this indigenous truth are not so much rocking with the New Testament and things like that. But like I say, Christ from the New Testament was an Essene. So if his followers are not following the Essene way, You know, you got to ask yourself what's going on there. You know what I'm saying? His cousin John is a Zadokite priest, a full-blooded Zadokite priest. You see what I'm saying? Which gives Christ that blood connection to the Levitical line of Aaron through Zadok. Gives him the, you know what I'm saying, the ability to provide the priestly duty of making atonement. You see what I'm saying? For sins. So understand, like I say, Christ was in the sin. Okay, Jesus Christ is Satan, right? It's Baal, you know what I'm saying? But we know Yeshua's salvation. These were people, men from the council of the sons of Zadok, the teachers of righteousness, right? Who came forth with the natural law, right? They provided the salvation. Right, just like in Isaiah, right? We read in Isaiah where he tells us to proclaim liberty. We know this is coming from Ashayah, right? Yashai, right? Which is salvation, salvation of the Lord. You know what I'm saying? So I think those are very important points to keep in mind. But like I say, we're gonna dig into some of this Essene doctrine. Well, not doctrine, but gospel of peace. So first, I want to take you guys down to this right here. It says Joshua condemns animal sacrifice, shows it to be from Satan and not God. So I want to read a little bit of this, y'all. Just rock with me and sit back. So it says, and after many other things were said and done, Joshua returned to the city and looked upon the innocent creatures of God, awaiting slaughter as daily sacrifice in the temple of Jerusalem. And he said unto his disciples and many people that had gathered around him from everywhere Joshua went, crowds surrounded him to listen to hear his wisdom. Behold, these poor innocent beasts of thy earth they harm not themselves, nor man, nor any creature. Yeah, they eat green vegetation of the field, sinless and without blood guilt, and they remain since their creation. Faithful and obedient they remain to their masters in hope that humane feelings be their reward in life. But instead they receive every hurt and death at man's hand. Lo, the lust of ignorant and stubborn man brings them down in death and much blood, right? That men satisfy their lust, the lust of their own flesh. Now I want to say that because, like I say, with the blood covenant, you have the installation of eating flesh, because, like I say, these sacrifices were sent to the priest. The priest would then cook these sacrifices, aka burnt offering, right, and then eat the choice parts. Now, if the priests become wicked and they are prophesying and worshiping Baal, right, then Baal is calling for blood sacrifice. So now the priests are commanding the people to bring them lambs, rams, and goats for the atonement of their sins, so that the priest can now eat flesh, right? And then you can see how that type of custom begin to slither its way into the religious rituals of our people. You know what I'm saying? But we all know that we are animal people, right? We are organic people, carbonated people. So our, the things that we eat should be the same. You know what I'm saying? Because the Most High also tells us that the blood is the life. The life is the blood, and it crieth out to him. So, you know what I'm saying? Which is why the Most High probably, like you read all in Hosea as well as many other books, but he got fed up with all the sacrifices because the blood is crying out to him. You see what I'm saying? So continuing on, it says, such men have hearts, but know them not, for they have become like their idols of stone and hard and vain. Woe to such woe to such blasphemers who reject the holy law of sacredness of all life. Read it again. Woe to such blasphemers who reject the holy law of the sacredness of all life. Right? The righteous man regardeth the life of his beast. Woe to such blind gods with hearts of stone, who use their eyes to lust after things they need not, nor are lawful unto them. For they transgress the law of Moses to make of themselves fat on the flesh and blood of innocent victims. Right? That God commanded them not, even since the beginning. Because we know what he commanded in the beginning. Woe be unto this very temple built by human hands. Check that out. It say, woe be unto this very temple built by human hands. For the temple made without hands is here in their midst, but they see nor hear not. right? So the temple that's not built by hands is your body. So be careful what you offer in the temple of the Most High, right? For I come to end all sacrifices and bloodshed and tell ye. All right. Now we know that this Yeshua figure supposedly in the New Testament did come to do that. He did come to do away with the blood sacrifice, with his blood, right? With his atonement of sin. But we know that we are to clean our blood and present it as a holy offering unto the Most High God, right? And righteousness and moral purity. All right. So let me read the article. Alright, let me see where we at. I'm over here chattering and stuff. Not offering, it say, for I come to end all sacrifice and bloodshed, and tell ye it, ye cease not offering and eating of flesh and blood. The wrath of God shall not cease from you, even as it came to your fathers in the wilderness, who under Moses lusted for flesh. You feel me? Which they ate to their fullness, and were filled with rottenness, and the plague consumed them according to their evil desire. For I say unto you, though ye be gathered together in my bosom, if ye keep not all my commandments, I will cast you forth. If you keep not the lesser revelations, who as shall give you the greater ones? For since time memorial God hath at no time required animal or human sacrifices. Read it again. God hath at no time required animal or human sacrifices, lest he be inferior to the holy law, the law of the universe, the law of nature. Nor has God permitted man or beast to devour one another for food, lest he be ignorant of his own love. Right? How then do you eat flesh and give sacrifices of blood according to the law of humane love? Again, a righteous man regardeth the life of his beast. Divine love. What is divine love? That's being at one with everything. If we are to follow the way and the path of the Mashiach, who comes from the Zadokite priesthood, right? The true ministers of the Most High, these men do what? They make atonement, right? The atonement is a condition of being at one with others, right? Atonement. Think about, we're talking about being in tune with nature, the environment, the creator, right? That's being in tune, right? Atone. So you're in tune with the tone of ment, right? The mental, right? The mind of the creator. You see what I'm saying? But not only are you at tune, you're what? Let me see if I can highlight it. You're at one. See what I'm saying? He ain't gonna let me highlight it. But as you can see, if you break down the word, you know what I'm saying, you get at one, right? Atone, be in harmony, agree, be in accordance, right? In accord, literally at one, right? Atone. So to make atonement, you see what I'm saying? It's to be at one with all things. One love, right? Wasn't the Rostas kicking one love? You feel what I'm saying? The remnant of the Zadokite priesthood, weren't they telling you one love? It's a love of all things, right? The true love of the Creator, right? Being connected with all things, being at tune and making atonement, right? Becoming one. So ye know not the true God, but worship the perverted God. Because I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna ask you this. Like when you read about the coming of the new kingdom, right? And how a child will be able to, you know what I'm saying, pet a lion and be one with the animals, right? And play with a adder, you know what I'm saying? A venomous snake. And that time will people be sacrificing animals for the atonement of sin if they are at one with them, if they are at atonement with them. You gotta ask yourself, you know what I'm saying? So just presenting that. Ye know not the true God, right? Ye know not the true God, but worship the perverted God of the world, even Satan, right? The one and same father of the sword and bloodshed. All right, I'm gonna read that again because it's interesting. It say, ye know not the true God, but worship the perverted God of the world, Satan. Okay, the priest said not, where is the Lord? Right, they that handled the law knew me not. Right, the pastors also transgressed against me, and the prophets prophesied by Baal or Satan. Alright, so for by this one death entered into the world, and death spread to all things. Okay, for all things are in bondage as slaves to the master of the lie. But I come to set free those imprisoned by chains of sin, and give forth my holy law again unto the nations, that they know the only true God of love. Now see, now doesn't this sound like a Messiah, right? This sounds like a Messiah who brings one back into the bond of the covenant, back into true natural divine law. Right? We know they came and gave us Satan, which actually pulled us away from divine law, right? And we know that the wages of sin is death. Sin is the transgression of the law. So if we are no longer in need of the law, we see how by this one Satan, death entered into the world, spread through all things. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So it say, but I come to set free those imprisoned by chains of sin, and give forth my holy law again unto the nations, that they may know the only true God of love and mercy. For my God above suffereth sin and error of men much, lest he put a swift end to the vanity of the world, and cut off his elect seed. No, we don't need you to do that. Say, but ye faithful to the complete law of God, lest ye stumble in thy evil ways, and meet death as thy final reward. For he that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much, and he that is unjust in heart, unjust in the least, is unjust also in much. So it is with the holy law. For the first fruits you keepeth not, but seek after greater. Seek ye first the law of God, and all else will be revealed unto you. Right? So we must seek first the laws of God and come back into the true accordance, right? Then we know that the Most High will come unto us, right? All other things will be revealed unto us. All right, so I'm gonna jump down right here to this last line and say, and the Pharisees heard all these sayings of Yahshua, and observed that he was speaking of them, for they live according to doctrines of men and of the devil, and not the true law of Moses had given them in the wilderness. They being responsible for the lawlessness of animal sacrifice and flesh eating among Israel. Now think about that, y'all. Right? Because we all know, that this Christ figure was fighting against the Pharisees and the scribes. Now the Pharisees and the scribes were the reigning priests and scribes of Israel at the time, who were incorrectly writing the law and being in confederacy with other wicked heathen nations and certain things like that, joining unto other gods, right? So it's funny because Christ was fighting against the Pharisees, and the Pharisees are the ones who are keeping all of these unlawful ways of service. And it's crazy, he was fighting against just that. And as you see right here, he's implementing something deeper, right? You know what I'm saying? Something deeper and more important. But it's crazy because through the Christianity teachings, they don't give you that. You see what I'm saying? So it makes you wonder, like, what the heck going on? You know what I'm saying? So again, the Pharisees and the scribes, right? Those who made the law in vain were responsible for the lawlessness of animal sacrifice and the eating of flesh among Israel. Okay, so I want to jump down. There's another section I wanted to read, and we're gonna close this video out, fam. Hope y'all straight. Hope y'all still rocking with your boy, and yeah, I hope it's not getting too long. It said, and it came to pass in the course of Yahshua's travel, he came upon a place near Tiberias where can be found 7 wells, and there a young man brought live rabbits and pigeons that he might eat as food with his companions. And Joshua, beholding the young man, looked upon him with much concern, and said unto him, I do perceive thou hast a good heart, and God shall surely give thee the light of the law. See? You know what I'm saying? Know you got a good heart, and surely the Most High should give you the light of the law. But knowest thou not that God in the beginning... But he said, but knowest thou not that God gave in the beginning... Excuse me. Because I'm thinking about something else I'm reading. It said, God in the beginning gave man the fruits of the earth for food, and did not make him lower than the ape or the ox or the horse or the sheep, that he should kill and eat the flesh and blood of his fellow creature. You know what I'm saying? So, I was just thinking about that, man, because, like you say, for this person who was about to eat meat, he said, I perceive your heart, you have a good heart, and that God shall surely give you the light of the law. So don't understand, if this is something you don't understand, just continue to, grow and build, and surely the Most High shall give you the light of the law. Because if you need to know, and you should know that in the beginning, God gave man the fruits of the earth for food, right? He told Adam that the fruits and the herbs of the field are for your meat. You understand? So let's keep going and say, for in the beginning all the beasts of the field and the fowl of the air and the fishes of the sea, whereas the ape, the ox and the horse and the sheep eating the green vegetation of the earth. But ye believe that Moses commanded such creatures to be slain and offered as sacrifices unto God and eaten. Ye believe wrongly. Ye do not know of temple oblations, right? Blood is sacrifices. For at no time did the true God delight in or demand flesh and burnt offerings, but only the pure oblation, the unbloody sacrifice of man's obedience to his holy law, right? Dealing with righteousness. It say, for Abel offered up the grains and fruits of the earth. Bam, check that out. See what I'm saying? They will switch. It say, for Abel offered up the grains and fruits of the earth, but God required only Abel's keeping of the holy law. For the pure oblation is from the heart of man, that he seeketh after truth and righteousness and pure worship of the eternal all. But I tell ye, Satan, the evil one, maketh truth a lie, and giveth the sons of man flesh and blood, and the burnt offering, the unholy law of evildoers, that things that my holy Father hateth and abhorreth. Know ye not before ye standeth a greater than even Moses? Yeah, even the Holy One who Moses spake of is here, and restoreth the true law, that Ale may for a certainty know that God is true, and every man whosoever keepeth not his holy law is a liar. Alright, for I tell ye, the holy law of Moses and Adam are one. For I tell ye, the holy law of Moses and Adam are one. What law did God give Adam? Even as my prophets spake unto Israel, I spake. The holy law changeth not, right? You know what I'm saying? So the law of Moses and Adam are one. And you can read in the book of Jubilees, I believe it's chapter 3, the brother bring it out. Hold on, let's get it real quick.
And on that day on which Adam went forth from the garden, he offered as a sweet savor or aroma an offering, frankincense, galbanum, stacked, and spices in the morning with the rising of the sun from the day when he covered his shame. Hold up, Adam. Okay,
so just to go back to let you know, that came out of the book of Jubilees.
By the way. All right. Let's see. If I'm not mistaken, let's go to chapter 3. And we're going to search for verse 27 to see what Adam offered.
Alright. So, as you can see, according to the book of Jubilees, Adam offered up a sweet savor of incense. And if you look at these herbs, really these herbs are some of the same herbs you read about in Exodus, I think it's chapter 30, the incense, the holy incense that was put on the altar. You know what I'm saying? So Adam basically sacrificed these same herbs you know what I'm saying, that you burn incense with in the temple. So it say, before I tell you the holy law of Moses and Adam are one. We see the sacrificial rites that Adam was dealing with was that of a more horrible sacrifice, and a bloodless sacrifice, right? Although the Most High requires oblation, you being righteous in keeping the law, right? But you burn the herbs as a sweet fragrance and for high consciousness, you know, right? So you can have communion with the Heavenly Father. Because we know these herbs, right? You know what I'm saying? Because just as the Most High, he's, you know, a lot of people might say the Most High, you know, don't need blood, he don't need herbs as well. But herbs aren't for him, they're really for us, right? Because we see they have neurological, biological chemistry. You know what I'm saying? When all of the elements are put together, right? The water, the fire, the air, and the earth, the herb, you know what I'm saying? They have biological, neurological properties where they can stimulate higher consciousness. Alright, so coming back over here, let's see where I was at. I'm start right here. He say, you know, for the law of Moses and Adam are one, even as my prophets spake unto Israel I speak. The holy law changeth not, but evil men speak according to their desires of the flesh, and lust after things unlawful. For of that which ye offer unto God in purity ye may eat of freely. Right? Think about that. It say, for of that which ye offer unto God in purity you may eat of freely, for it is lawful. But of that kind which ye offer not in purity shall ye not eat. The hour cometh when all sacrifices and blood feasts shall cease, and ye shall again worship God according to the holy law and pure oblation. Right? It says, and the young man marveled at the words of at Yeshua's words, for he knew not the likeness of them at any time. And he said unto Yeshua, ye speak much truth. I know of not before this day. Please, Lord, continue. I do believe ye come in the spirit of Moses. Alright. It says, and Yeshua said unto him, ye listen well. May all peace be added unto ye. Now let these innocent creatures go free, that they may rejoice in God and bring no blood guilt to any man. Right? So yeah, man, I just want to end on that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just coming to you guys with this video about the blood sacrifice. Like I say, we did one on the holy sacrifice, the herbal sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to come and clarify that part of it up, and just, you know, give people some little points for perspective. You know what I'm saying? And see where I'm coming from, and when we digging into this law, and like I say, man, the beauty of it is we can see how blood sacrifice was the instrument of Satan to install his image in our minds, right? To install his image in our minds so that it can make way for him to come over here and subjugate us. You see what I'm saying? And put us into bondage at the hand of the Creator, because we are wicked, right? And we know that Satan is the accuser, right? He is going to and fro, seeking whom he may devour, right? Which we're gonna get into that probably on my next video, man. But I hope everybody enjoyed the video. Hope that was a good jewel for you guys. Hope it put a lot of things into perspective. Like I say, man, you know, if you disagree and you want to build reasonably, we can do that. But you know what I'm saying, but y'all be getting real reckless sometimes, you know what I'm saying? I ain't even gonna lie. You know what I'm saying? And I'm the type that, you know what I'm saying, speak loud and spare not at the same time, bro, cause you know what I'm saying, we all warriors, we all soldiers, you know, on the road for Christ, you know what I'm saying? It's not easy, it's not a rocket road, you know what I'm saying? So you know, I come from a football background, you know what I'm saying? So for those of you who play football, you know what I'm saying, you know what it is, you know what I'm saying, we train to go. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is, man. I just want to come to y'all with that. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And continue to build, continue to reason, and continue to live a more holy and natural way of life. Until next time, shalom.